Hi there, Fishing with Dom here, and I'm here to talk to you today about my favorite hook for flipping largemouth bass. Approximately a year ago, I was a firm believer that flipping was more or less primarily a southern technique used especially on Lake Okeechobee and heavy hydrilla and thick mats. Nothing you really see all too much in the northern regions like Michigan and Minnesota, but I was wrong. Definitely, I was wrong. I found myself in a Walmart, and I ended up leaving with a pack of flipping hooks that I found on clearance. I figured, why the heck not? Why don't I give it a try? And so I did. Later that day, I tell you what, I became a firm believer and a better flipper in just a matter of an hour of practice or so. I originally started pitching off of a dock and pulling fish out of log cover, thick weeds, pockets where most people wouldn't put baits or even think to put baits for that matter. But consecutively, I was pulling out quantities and quality of fish when most people were struggling to get a bite, let alone anything of size out on the water that day. Now, my personal favorite hook for flipping largemouth bass is the Trokar TK-130. Trokar is Trokar is made by Eagle Claw, and these have a reputation for being extremely sharp. If you look at the point, you can even see that glare glistening off of that in my backlight. These get right to the point. One of my main points on why I prefer the Trokars over any other flipping hook, their sharpness. If I get a subtle, short strike, I want to be able to pierce cartilage absolutely no matter what. The thickest part of their mouth, any part of their tongue, I'm going to get a piece of them, and they're not going to be gone anywhere. They're going to be pinned. The second reason I prefer the Trokar flipping hook, I think you can see that well, the eyelet is completely soldered and closed off. It depends on who you are as an angler. If you use a thick fluorocarbon or a superline, I run the superline personally, that gap is closed off because if just a hit of your line gets caught in that gap, it's going to cause a weak spot and it's going to fray your knot down a little bit. And especially for tournament anglers, if you've got money on the line or the fish of a lifetime, I'm not kidding you, a 10 or 11 pound largemouth bass, that little fray could come and go, all depending on how it's worn. The third reason why I really prefer this hook is this allotted gap between the eyelet and the bait collar. Now, it only appears to be an eighth to 3/16 of an inch long, but that gives you enough distance as an experienced flipper to have more room to snell your line to your hook for better results. Just something personal that I like. I know some people aren't quite into snelling. They just want to tie and go. But for effective results, I personally snell. I'm going to add a video coming up here pretty soon on exactly how to do it and the reasons thereof. But that's just me being me. I'm kind of nitpicky when it comes to all my fishing stuff, as I think I should be. Fourth reason actually why I sincerely enjoy these hooks is the bait collar in itself. The exterior point, it's really protruded. You can see it's very sharp and it's on an angle. And then we have an interior point right here. This allows you to thread your bait up onto the hook, and it's not going anywhere unless a fish strikes it. I can promise you that. You're going to spend less time out on the water adjusting your baits like you would with any other hook. And then just a little bonus to this this bait collar, you see the top of it? It's set on an angle. And because it's on an angle, it's perfectly even with the point of the hook. So you can have your baits perfectly positioned just like that. That bait's not going to go anywhere because of that collar. Then once a fish bites down on it, that extra space is going to be allowed for your bait to slide down, and you're going to get maximum hook expansion when you're ripping that largemouth bass out of weeds, fallen timber, hydrilla, you name it, you'll pull fish out of it. Generally, these hooks go about nothing too expensive. Well, too expensive is relatively used in fishing nowadays. It seems like everything will cost you an arm and a leg. About 4 hooks for $6.50 at BassProShop.com. I'll put another few different links where you can buy these hooks. Generally speaking, for all purposes, whether or not I'm fishing with a worm, a creature, or beaver style bait, I generally always go with the 4/0. I keep a few of these handy anywhere I go. For larger worms, I'll fish the 5. For smaller beavers, early on in the year, I'll run the 3/0. But generally, my favorite all-around go-to size is the 4/0. But that's it for all I have today. I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. This is the first of many that I plan to upload. As of now, I'm thinking about uploading one every single week. If you like it, feel free to subscribe. And if you have any ideas for videos I could do in the future, please comment. Let me know. I'd really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Fishing with Dom. Thank you. Bye-bye.